definite theme with these traditions. Young women thought that they could see their future husbands in little yarn dolls and yarn patterns that they would make, apple scraps that would be thrown away, or in the mirror. They would stand in front of the mirror and hold a candle, and it would be in a dark room, and they would try to see their future husband's face over their shoulder.
I've had people make me do the apple scraps before.
Yeah?
Yeah, you're supposed to throw apple scraps and then you get like initials.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
I don't know this for sure. I don't know this for sure. The people who have had me do that have been of Latino origin, so I don't know if that's something from down there, or they're just doing it up here, or what.
According to my research, that was an Irish tradition as well, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
All right, so a couple of other traditions. In Ireland, there were people who would hide a ring in mashed potatoes and serve it on Halloween, and whoever found the ring would be the next one to be married before the next Halloween. Hopefully you didn't break your tooth. In Scotland, they would have women take a handful of hazelnuts, and they would name each of the hazelnuts after one of their suitors, and then throw the nuts one at a time in a fire.
Nice.
So usually hazelnuts will explode when you throw them in the fire.
Yeah.
So the one that doesn't explode, like the one that just burns down to ashes, that's your guy. Because it didn't like pop and blow up, I guess. But then there was another set of information that said it was actually the opposite of that. And the one that burned to nothing was going to fizzle out because it was a love that was never going to happen.
So I hadn't heard of this tradition, but as someone who does like weird stuff, that second one sounded more like something that would be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were other traditions where if you ate a walnut, hazelnut, nutmeg sort of sweet, you would dream about your future husband. You can look at egg yolks in a bowl of water to see your future husband's face.
That, I know a lot of people who do that year round. I haven't heard that being associated with Halloween, but I do know people who practice that method.
Is everybody getting a very yellow husband?
It's like The Simpsons.
And the last one, we're back to apples and bobbing for apples here. If you were in a group of people and you were all bobbing for apples, the first one to catch an apple in the bobbing would be the next one to get married. I didn't find any traditions on things men would do in order to find their bride.
Yeah, they don't care.
They're just kind of waiting for the right time to come up. But so that is my history of Halloween.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I hadn't heard that about bobbing for apples. I like vaguely remember as a child, because I know we would do that. I always remember doing it in like summertime though. But it would be like whoever was the first one to get the apple like had good luck. I remember there was like I barely remember, but there was like some kind of weird superstition around the first person to get the apple.
No, I don't remember anything like that. I just remember it being like a game at the Halloween party that they'd have at the church up in Wollaston.
And I remember there being something in our neighborhood. I don't remember what. I think it was like good luck, something like that. Okay, well, it would line up with they were all looking to get married, and that would have been the best luck that they could have. Yeah. So I know in Salem, they still have Samhain celebrations up there.
Yeah?
Yeah, in the pagan tradition, a lot of people, I guess, Wiccan or whatever form of paganism you're doing, a lot of people still celebrate it.
I did see a whole section about Wiccans and Samhain on various sites that I was looking at. I just wasn't bringing that sort of forward as our history of Halloween, which is kind of where Halloween was and how it got here in the mainstream. But I'm sure that there are a lot of other very interesting celebrations that people are doing in honor of a variety of Halloween traditions.
A lot of the traditions are still alive with it, which is interesting and cool. Yeah, because I know a lot of people who still celebrate it, or a lot of people still put it with the harvest. So like having all their crops blessed, things like that. I know a friend of the show, Tenny Kumar, always reminds me that Halloween is very real. Halloween is very real. She always tells me. The veil is thin. So hopefully, if you guys are listening to this on Wednesday or Thursday, veil's thin, so go on out there.
Right.
And it's interesting, too, because that thing you said about the place being set for someone, a past family member, a lot of people still practice that on All Saints Day. Which
Yeah?
I think is very interesting because the people I know who celebrate that way are Catholic.
It is a Catholic holiday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does make sense. And
Well, it's a Catholic holiday, but I'm saying that, again, it's taking that pagan, if you will,
Tradition from it. Yep.
Yeah, which a lot of that goes on. And a lot of that goes on with Christmas. I don't know why I couldn't remember the word Christmas, but Christmas.
That's cool. 5 times I forget words.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at how some of these things have evolved through history and how different ideas have blended with other ideas, and suddenly we come out with this whole thing where kids are running around dressed as Freddy Krueger and demanding candy and toilet papering your house if they don't get it. And
yeah, but also, like, it hasn't changed that much when you think about how long it's been. I mean, over 2,000 years, people are still dressing up.
Mm-hmm.
Over 1,000 years, people are still asking for treats.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it did have a little dying off, but then it was, that resurgence in the 1950s with the baby boomers that really made it take off in American culture again.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd be curious, all of our listeners in other countries, kind of like all over the world, is Halloween a thing everywhere?
I know nowhere does it like America.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that I know. I know here it's much, much bigger here than it is in other places.
Okay.
But I have a good friend from Ireland, and she told me they do celebrate, but it's nothing like it is here.
Okay. When I was in Ireland, one of the people was talking about, they had been asked by somebody, like, oh, where's a really good place to celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Somebody wanted to go and celebrate, and the answer was, well, Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went.
Yeah. Celebrate big or go home. That's what we say here in the States.
Well, it's something kind of interesting that I always think about, and I love this idea. And I was talking to someone really about 2 months ago, and they were from England, and he and I had a conversation about it, and it was, in Ireland, there's only 4 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 13 million people in Boston, and the majority of us are Irish.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and that's just in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So then you look at all of New England, all the United States. I mean, there are more Irish descendants here than there are in Ireland. And same thing with England. I mean, there's more British people here, or British ancestry, I'm one of them, than there are in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's interesting. Yes, in certain respects, it makes sense that some of us have carried that tradition on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Except for St. Patrick's Day. That's just good.
Some of you do, it's true. Yeah. Although I hear in Chicago, they have a pretty big St. Patrick's Day celebration as well.
Yeah.
I think they dye a whole river green.
I don't know. No one does like Boston, though.
I don't know that I've ever actually gone out on St. Patrick's Day. Since I don't drink,
You haven't drank for 5 years.
Yeah, but even before.
You were 33. I've never been to the St. Patrick's Day parade. I have zero interest in that. But
also, I want to point out that your math is a little weird because I'm 25.
Yeah, that's fair. So you were 20. I mean, by the time I was 20, I was going out for St. Patrick's Day.
No, I didn't do anything like that. That would have been completely illegal.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I've never been to the parade, but I always go out.
Okay.
That's something to do.
I don't know.
And all my friends yell at me because I don't drink beer.
Somebody told me one time it's amateur night. I'm like, I don't need to be involved in that.
Yeah.
I'd rather just stay home and eat a corned beef.
Nah, it's something fun to do.
Big corned beef and cabbage dinner.
Yeah, my dad still does that every year.
Only once a year?
Well, no, on St. Patrick's Day, he does the big, corned beef cabbage dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the best dinner out there.
That's fun.
Yeah. What does he eat on Halloween, though?
Candy.
That's not very healthy.
The guy runs 8 marathons a year. He's allowed to have one night of candy. Okay, so that was an awesome history. Very informative. Learned a lot. Do you like us to transition to our, how many pages we have? 12 pages of drive-by ghostings?
Sure.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for all your mail this week. It was overwhelming and humbling and awesome. So thank you so much to everybody. First one says, Hi, Amelia and Beth. My name is Nathan, and I'd like to share my story about the day I died. I was 7 years old, and I moved to Wales with my grandparents, and I wasn't there a month when I was playing on my bike in the street when a van being chased by the police hit me.
Yikes.
I remember it well, and every detail. I was standing over my lifeless body, and as I looked around, I saw relatives who had passed away walk to me. It's not your time. You have to go back, my aunt says. And then a guy who lived across the street ran over and brought my body back to life. In the hospital, the doctor was shocked I didn't have a scratch on me. A few weeks passed and I started seeing flashes like sparklers. Then I started to see the shadow figures. I spoke to my grandmother who had similar experiences as a child. She said some people who have had near-death experiences have a closer connection to the spirit world, and if the shadow figures noticed me noticing them, I should never show them I'm scared because they feed off of it. Now I'm 38 and I'm a paranormal investigator who helps families with hauntings. I sometimes see full-body apparitions, and every time I use my spirit box, my grandmother comes through. We have a specific word, just so I know. Thank you, and I hope you like my story. Nathan.
We did great, like your Nathan. Story. Thank you.
We did like your story. That was awesome. And it brought together 2 different episodes we just recently did. Near-death experiences and shadow people.
Yeah, don't let those shadow people see that you're scared.
Nope, they'll feed right off of it. But that is interesting because, according to his grandmother, if you have had the near-death experience, you're closer to them. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I want to know where Nathan's a paranormal investigator. Nathan, let us know.
Yeah.
Probably in Wales, but who knows?
Maybe he knows Great British Ghost Tour guy.
Yeah, Dylan. Did we ever say thank you to Dylan on here?
I don't think that we've talked about the fact that we were on Dylan's thing.
Yeah, thank you so much to Dylan of the Great British Ghost Tour who filmed us for his upcoming documentary. That was really awesome and a lot of fun.
We were at the very spooky Omni Parker House in Boston. Nothing spooky happened while we were there, but it's still a spooky place. So this is a story from Katie. Hi there, I wanted to send my ghost story. My name is Katie and I live in New Hampshire. Prior to moving to New England, my family and I lived in Florida. I grew up in my grandpa's house in Florida. Being that my mom was a single parent, my grandpa, who lived with us, would play a huge role in raising me. He loved to travel, golf, and smoke cigars. When he passed, we would notice that every Christmas Eve the master bedroom, which was my papa's room following his passing, my mom couldn't come to sleep in there, too many memories, the room would fill with cigar smoke and the smell of his cologne and cigar smoke. No one smoked in the house. It made no sense other than it was Papa sharing with my mom and I that he was happy and present with us. We had great closure knowing he was truly at peace. Since moving up to New Hampshire, it's made me miss him more and that much harder to have left the house. At times, I feel like we just left him. Well, it's not an extravagant ghost story. It's my family's ghost story, and we'll carry it with us forever. Thanks for reading.
That is beautiful.
It is.
And touching.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
It's always nice to hear those ghost stories of people's people who come back just to let them know that they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like those a lot.
That's sweet.
It's really nice. Hey, Amelia and Beth. I have a couple of encounters that I would love to share with you too. I only recently discovered your podcast, but I am totally hooked. Thanks for all your hard and entertaining work. Well, my goodness, you are so welcome.
Yeah. We could have cut that out, but we're always looking for the little ego boost, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
A little hit of dopamine. The first was a ghostly sighting at my work. It was 2005, and I was working at a retail company as their shipping and operations coordinator. There was always a joke in the store that there was a ghost who moved things, and one of my co-managers said that a vase had come off the shelf and smashed just as they were about to close the store. No one had been in the area for about 10 minutes when it happened.
I guess nobody told that ghost that there's no overtime allowed this week.
As for my own experiences, I had often been in the upstairs stockroom in secluded corners, and I would get what I can only describe as a sudden kind of electric pulse that would come from the base of my skull and shoot upwards to the top of my head. I always thought it was weird, but never had anything else that accompanied it, so I wrote it off. Then I had an experience that I really can't explain. The offices were upstairs from the shipping and receiving department. I was doing something with inventory on the computer station, and my co-manager was writing the schedule on the station next to me, specifically to my left and closer to the door than I was. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw who I assumed was my receiving associate walk through the door, pass behind my co-manager, and then stop and stand right behind my right shoulder, just inside my peripheral vision. I turned to say something to him and said, "Yo man, what's up?" But no one was there. I turned to my co-manager and just gave him an incredulous look.